Have you ever wondered if the dead are really answering us, or if we're just hearing what we want to hear? Dr. Sarah Chen spent 15 years asking that question. She should have stopped while she still had a choice. Sarah was one of the country's leading EVP specialists, recording electronic voice phenomena in locations where the veil between worlds supposedly wore thin. Abandoned hospitals, derelict prisons, houses where tragedy had soaked into the walls like blood into fabric. She'd cataloged over 3,000 recordings, each one analyzed, categorized, filed away in her meticulous database. She didn't believe in ghosts. Not really. She believed in data, in patterns, in electromagnetic anomalies that the human brain interpreted as voices. Science, not superstition. That belief kept her sane through countless nights in places that made her skin crawl. The Riverside Hotel changed everything. It was a routine investigation. The hotel had closed in 1987 after a fire killed 12 guests on the 4th floor. Local paranormal enthusiasts claimed to hear voices in the burned-out wing. Sarah arrived on a Tuesday evening in October, her equipment cases heavy in her hands, her recorder already running. She set up in room 412, where a family of 4 had died. The wallpaper hung in strips, exposing blackened plaster beneath. The air tasted of old smoke and something sweeter, more rotten. She positioned her recorders at strategic points, checked her electromagnetic field detector, and began her standard protocol. Question 1, recorded at 8:47 p.m. Is anyone present in this room? She waited the customary 30 seconds, asked again, waited, moved to her next question. Can you tell me your name? The session lasted 2 hours. She asked 47 questions, received no responses she could hear in real time. Standard. She'd review the recordings later, amplify them, filter out ambient noise. That's when the voices usually emerged, if they emerged at all. Back in her apartment, she loaded the files into her audio software, put on her headphones, started the playback. The first anomaly appeared at 8:47:15, 3 seconds after her initial question. A woman's voice, clear as crystal. I can't stop it, Sarah. I've tried. Sarah's breath caught. The voice knew her name. That happened sometimes. Research subjects who knew her reputation, playing pranks. But the Riverside had been empty. She checked. She continued playback. At 8:48:03, where she'd asked, Can you tell me your name? Another response. You need to leave. Tonight. Don't come back here. Not an answer to her question. A warning. She listened to all 47 responses. None of them answered what she'd asked. Instead, they formed a one-sided conversation, urgent and afraid. The woman's voice kept repeating variations of the same message. Leave. Stop. It's too late. Sarah didn't leave. She went back the next night. This time, she asked different questions. Why should I leave? What's too late? Who are you? The responses, when she reviewed them, made her hands shake. To why should I leave? Recorded at 9:15 p.m. Is anyone present in this room? To what's too late? Recorded at 9:16 p.m. Can you tell me your name? Her own voice. Her own questions from the previous night. Sarah sat in her apartment until dawn, staring at the waveforms on her screen. There had to be an explanation. Audio bleed from her equipment, some kind of playback loop. Except the timestamps were wrong. These recordings had been made tonight, but they contained yesterday's questions. She checked her original files from the first night, went to the timestamps where tonight's questions should have appeared, enhanced the audio, pushed the filters to their limits. There, barely audible beneath the static, her own voice asking about leaving, about what was too late. She'd recorded tomorrow's questions yesterday. The voices weren't responding to what she asked. They were responding to what she would ask. The EVPs were coming from the future. Sarah didn't sleep. She spent the day building a timeline, matching questions to responses across both sessions. The pattern was perfect, terrible. Every answer preceded its question by exactly 24 hours. The woman warning her was responding to queries Sarah would make the following night. She knew she shouldn't go back. The warnings were clear, but she had to understand, had to know who the woman was, how this was possible. Night 3, room 412. Sarah's hands trembled as she set up her equipment. Who are you? She asked the darkness. She already knew what the response would be. She'd recorded it last night, would hear it when she reviewed tonight's session. But she asked anyway, because the timeline demanded it. Because she'd already done this. Why is this happening? Her voice cracked. How do I stop it? The questions poured out, desperate now. She was crying, though she didn't remember when she'd started. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. The smoke smell intensified until she could barely breathe. At 10:47 p.m., she asked the question she'd been avoiding. Am I going to die here? Her recorder captured it. Somewhere in tomorrow's playback, there would be an answer that already existed, that had existed since before she'd asked. Sarah packed her equipment with shaking hands. She had to leave, had to break the cycle. She wouldn't come back tomorrow, wouldn't record another session. The timeline would break and she'd be free. But in her apartment, she couldn't stop herself from loading tonight's files. Couldn't stop herself from listening. The woman's voice at 10:47:15. You're already dead, Sarah. We both are. The fire never stopped. We're just echoes, asking and answering forever. At 10:48:00, another message. Tomorrow you'll understand. Tomorrow you'll see the 4th night recordings. Tomorrow you'll know. Sarah's screen showed the date stamp on tonight's files. October 17th. She checked her computer's calendar, checked her phone, checked the newspaper on her counter. October 21st. She'd lost 4 days. Or she'd never left the hotel. Or time had folded in on itself like paper, creasing at room 412. Her phone buzzed. A calendar reminder. Riverside Hotel, room 412, 8:00 p.m. She didn't remember setting it, but she would go. She knew she would go. She'd already gone. The recordings existed. Questions and answers spiraling forward and backward. A conversation with herself across time that had no beginning and no end. Sarah sits in room 412 now, her recorder running, asking questions she's already answered, answering questions she hasn't asked yet. The smoke smell is permanent. The walls are always burning. She doesn't know which night this is anymore, which Sarah she is, the one asking or the one answering. She only knows that somewhere in the static, another version of herself is listening, hearing these words, understanding too late that the echo chamber isn't a place. It's a state of being. And once you're inside, you've always been inside. The recorder keeps running. It will always keep running. And if you listen carefully to the silence between questions and answers, you might hear your own voice, asking something you won't think to ask until tomorrow.